Okay, good evening all.
Evening.
Evening.
Let's make a start with the meeting. Now, I understand from Adam that there are no no questions from the public.
That's correct, Chair.
Okay,
So, Mayor.
Thank you. So we'll move on then through the agenda, if we may. So agenda item 1 is apologies for absence. As I say, I know Barry might be, Councillor Flux might be a little late. I don't know how late. Anyone else?
I have received apologies from Councillor Mitchison.
Thank you. Anything from John Percy?
No.
He'll be joining us late.
Who John Percy will be?
John Percy will be, yes.
Okay, thanks. Right. Okay, then let's move on to Town Mayor's announcements. I wish to thank the good people of Cramlington for keeping this coronavirus at bay and request that they continue to follow on with the government's guidelines, hands, face, space. Remembrance Day, just a few words about Remembrance Day. This, of course, was completely different this year, although Cramlington Town Council did recognise it on Wednesday gone. There was a small gathering of us at the memorial in the village. The service was officiated by the Reverend David Gray from St Nicholas's Church. Also in attendance were the Duchess of Northumberland, our town clerk, Councillor Mitchison, myself and various dignitaries of the Royal British Legion. Wreaths were laid and the fallen remembered. The video will be on our website and Facebook. I'm sure you will have noticed the signs around the town of the on the railings, remembering them. Good evening, Mr. Flux, Councillor Flux. Good evening.
Good evening, Lorraine.
Hi.
Sorry, I'm late.
No, you're okay. Right, the main announcement I should talk about.
Chair, sorry, could I just come in there if that's all right on the announcements on the Remembrance Days, Sunday and obviously the 11th, and it would just be remiss of me not to thank Victory Signs, who are a company based in Cramlington, who provided us with those metal signs, and also did a fantastic job in actually providing us with poppies to put on lampposts around the town, because obviously with COVID, the production of those was affected by the British Legion, and so they stepped in and they produced us those poppies and those metal signs, and that's a Cramlington company who did that for our town, and I think we should thank.
Yes, absolutely, we should recognise them. Thank you, Wayne. Yes, thanks to Victory Signs. Thank you very, very much.
Victory Signs, do you think we should write a letter formally thanking them for whatever they have done?
I think that would be a good idea. If the town mayor could do that, that would be.
Adam, could you do that and I'll sign it, please?
Yeah.
Thank you. Right, free school meals. Big news item. We took immediate action within a very short time of this subject being brought up. I would like to thank my colleagues and town council officers for their hard work and quick response to get these vouchers out. This necessitated working over the weekend and consulting with our town clerk. In excess of 200 vouchers have gone out, and this was expertly carried out by our town council officers who fielded all the phone calls and physically handed out the vouchers. We responded and acted quickly within hours to save our children in Cramlington from going hungry. We also informed our Labour councillors. We did the right thing, and as you will know, the government has now come forward with funding to operate over Christmas, and further details will be forthcoming over the next few weeks. Anybody want to add anything on that? That was a big news item. Yes, I thought as much, Wayne.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor, for that. And again, just reinforcing, I think what you've just said there is a huge debt of gratitude goes to the staff of the town council. My apologies to our clerk, Bob Baker, who I rang extremely early and said, Bob, we need to do something. And Bob was absolutely on board with that. And within a matter of hours, we had identified the funding, identified how we were going to deliver the funding, and on Monday, Adam and Daryl and the rest of the team, the whole team, in fact, were there to actually make sure that we were able to start issuing the vouchers from Monday. So I think that's it is a really good example of how responsive this town council is and was on this and many other issues. And I think on just the wider issue around the free school meals, we were proven to be right, because all the way through what we said as a town council, what many of us as individuals said as well, was that just providing vouchers is not a solution. You need a longer term plan and you need to identify innovation. So I'm delighted when the government announced, I think 2 days ago, that they were going to step up and actually fund up to £170 million worth of money towards this project, that in there were things like holiday clubs and innovative ideas, not just providing vouchers, vital though they are, but it's also around working with our communities, using community hubs, identifying where we can actually support those families with initiatives around food. In fact, many of the things that I was doing for 3 years as deputy leader of Northumberland County Council, it ain't rocket science, it's just the right thing to do. So I am absolutely delighted that as a town council, we've been shown to be responsive, to do the right thing, and over 200 families supported, I think is a massive testimony to the amount of work which our staff put in. I know they come under a lot of criticism and a lot of pressure, and we as councillors put them under a lot of pressure, and we do that. But I just want to say on this point and many others, I think they did an exemplary job, and I just want to put on record a huge thank you to you all on behalf, I'm sure, of those 200 and plus families as well. So that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you, Wayne, for that unexpurgated version.
Oh, thank you.
I know. I know I did thank our council officers, because I know they did work very hard in the office. Okay then, moving on.
I've got Councillor Murray.
Right.
Yes, David.
Right, just to let you know that I broadcasted it far and wide within the Labour Party forums within the area, and we received nothing but praise.
Oh,
you know,
Good.
So as a
Good,
cross-party venture, it went well.
oh, good. Thank you, David. Thank you.
So
I've never had so many questions on agenda item 2. Yes, Paul?
are we the first council in Northumberland to do that? Town council?
Yep.
Okay. This is something to take on board. Thank you very much for the town council office particular, because they are doing some additional work. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Bob, were you just straightening your jacket, or did you want to say
Yeah, I was
something?
just straightening my collar, Lorraine.
Oh.
Yeah.
It looks very nice. Okay, agenda item 3, minutes of the last meeting, please. I'm sure you've all read them. Who will agree them, please?
Yeah.
Thanks, Norman. Thanks, Mark. Are there any disclosures of interest? Yes, Christine?
Yes, the item on the community chest for the application for Cramlington Village Primary School, it's in Norman and I's ward, and we would like to not take part in the discussion of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, agenda item 5. Shall we waylay that one, as John is not with us?
Yes, Chair, I think it'd probably be best. I can take it if you want to go through it now.
Okay then.
Okay, there's not really a great deal to add to what we've discussed previously, Chair. Just to start, before I'm picked up on it, there is a typo in paragraph 2.3 where we have a double negative, and that should read, it was proposed no increase in charge to households, rather than it was not proposed no increase in charge to households. That apart, I think everyone is aware that the key change for the next financial year will be the fact that we have terminated the partnership agreement with the County Council, and that obviously has released very significant funds that will allow us to set up our own in-house grounds maintenance team. that taking into account the costs of the new team, the additional costs of the new team, our current estimate is that we'll have around about 169,000 available for new schemes in the forthcoming financial year. Now, we have taken the view that at this stage, it's probably inappropriate to determine, to identify specific schemes on which to allocate that 169,000, but to actually leave it to the next financial year, or leave it as open for ideas between now and April the 1st. So we have put it in the accounts in the budget report as a contingency fund.
Yes.
But nevertheless, the report does bring out that I think there's a general consensus that after 10 years of the county council being in existence,
John's just, sorry Bob, John's just joined us.
Oh yeah, there he is. He's obviously been out doing his deliveries. So I'll just carry on, and then perhaps John can respond to specific questions. There is a general consensus now that we're starting to change direction. We're starting to move away from the focus on environmental matters towards a more people-based approach vis-a-vis the establishment of the youth and community team, and our developing interest and hopefully links with the County Council's Communities Together initiative. So we have that. In terms of the budget for next year, we are in a position to announce that there is no proposed increase in the precept for Cramlington, and that will remain as £113 and 10 pence. Just to say though, Chair, that John Harvey has produced some figures this week which shows that over 85% of households in Cramlington pay for their houses fall into bands A to C. So very few households will actually pay the full £113. The majority will pay significantly less. But nevertheless, the key point to make is that we will be proposing that there is no change in the current precept, and that will remain unchanged. Subject to your approval tonight, we will be putting the budget out to local consultation to discover what views local people have about our proposals, and we'll be presenting a final budget statement to the council in January, and we'll take things from there. Now, I don't know if John wants to add anything to what I've said at this stage.
Well, all I can say is I apologise if the meeting started at 6:15. I've made a mistake, but I've had 3 meetings this week at 6:30, so I've obviously got confused. No, I would simply say that since September, obviously things have moved. You now have an opportunity to change direction without sort of losing any of what we've had in the past. I think for this year we'll be fine, and I certainly just commend the recommendations. And obviously, if there are any questions on the detail, I'm only too happy to do my best answer.
Mark.
Thank you, Chair. I've been through this as I normally do, and I'm very happy with what we've seen. There's a number of changes because of what's happened this year and what's going to be happening next year. One thing I would like to see, we've had some changes this year with regards to staffing, and as the town clerk has mentioned, because of the changes with regards to the partnership, we will be having some changes next year with regards to our structure. However, when we look at an item in the proposed budget with regards to training, it's only a very small increase with us having such staffing changes, I would like to see if we can increase that training amount because of the new staff, the changes with the staff and the new staff we have coming on board. I think it would be advisable to increase that training amount relative to the new staff that we are going to be taking on board, because it may well be that we should be looking at training these new staff accordingly. So I would just like to see something from the contingency fund. I know it's just within the figures, but if we could a bit more from the contingency into that training figure, please.
That's absolutely fine. I mean, it's a bit of a fluid figure in any case, because the biggest cost so far of you training our more professional staff like Adam, and they'll, you know, but putting a little extra in there is quite, you know, is quite doable. That's fine. Yeah. What I will mention is because we're expanding greatly the range of things we're doing. For next year, I'm devising a new presentation, so I'll be highlighting the costs in slightly different way, and you know, no less detail, but just so in a so we distinguish what management costs from the team, from the depot. We'll have a depot running cost, probably we'll have premises running costs. So I think we've now grown to a size where I did need to sort of revamp that presentation, just to make it more manageable, and to draw your attention to where, you know, so I mean, the key thing I always say is not that you don't spend money, but actually you know where you're spending it.
What do 300 pages like NCC do?
Yeah. I'm better than NCC.
He says modestly.
Well, I actually put an accounting system in at NCC that actually worked.
He used to be modest, Bob. Now he's perfect. Right. Yeah. Thank you, John.
Well, it's my biggest fault, Lorraine, my modesty.
Well, this is it. Wayne?
Thank you. Just a couple of observations. One was just reaffirming something which Bob Baker, the clerk, said there. Absolutely going to be focusing on our people as an asset for our town, but still not taking the eye off the ball in terms of that cleaner, greener Cramlington, which we've had for a couple of years now and really does work. And that's part of the reason why we're moving to a Cramlington focused delivery team, because that will be best fit for our town. So we'll continue, and I'm really looking forward to next year's floral displays, which will be so much better than we've had this year. But absolutely one of the biggest assets we have in our town are the people themselves. So that place-based asset, that people-based asset, I think is a really good focus. And that's exactly why we brought Maggie and Steve in as part of our community and youth program, because that is a commitment from us to say that actually people matter, and that's the future of our town. So it's not just about nice grass cutting and pretty flowers. It's also about the people who live there. And that's a really important focus. And the last thing is, just for the avoidance of any doubt, when people say that, you know, that a band day is £113.10, that's a year, not a month. It's actually £9.42 a month for a band day property for living in the best town in Northumberland. End of. Just thought I'd say that. Commercial.
Thank you for that. Paul?
Just one observation. Contingency fund shoots up from 10,000 to 166,000, John. So is there any magic figure there?
That was what, sorry to interrupt you. That was what Bob covered. It's due to the savings that we've made, but particularly to do with the partnership.
Okay.
But if John wants to add, I'm sure he's got plenty to add.
Yeah, it's the simple arithmetic is we currently pay 360,000, probably 370,000 next year if we'd stayed with the partnership. We think the partnership will cost us under 200,000. Sorry, the new arrangements well under 200,000, 150,000-ish. By the time we add in the extra cost of Maggie and Steve and the other little bits and pieces, it should be around about £170,000, which what the recommendation is you've now got time over the next months to actually think how you can spend that wisely, but in a different direction.
Okay.
That's it. So the contingency is just to say that's what's been released because we've dropped out the partnership, and it'll be for you to determine what the priorities are as a council.
Yeah, so it's a good measure to look into the partnership and then get some, extra money in the form of contingency fund. Yes, thank you. So there's one other question, last observation, Chair. We don't seem to have increased anything on the this one, 22 for community chest. So I'm just wondering whether did we increase it last year or the year before? So if there is,
yeah, the community chest is two sums. We have one sum set aside, 2,500, which is a regular outgoing. So every year we set aside 20, or you set aside 20,000 for community chests. Now over the last 3 to 4 years, there hasn't been the same level of demand as in the early years.
Okay.
So generally speaking, we don't spend the 20,000, but obviously it's like a contingency for what might happen. So this year it's come in useful because we've been able to support some of the programs we've put for the COVID measures. So we've had that money, it's there, we can use it. If we don't use it, well, we'll roll it over.
Okay. Thank you, John. Thank you.
You're
Thanks
welcome.
for the clarification.
Thank you. Can we move on to the next agenda item, which is Community and Youth Network Update? And it's over to you, Maggie.
Thank you, Lorraine. The first thing is the youth forum. What we've done now, we've kind of formalised that. We're doing bi-monthly meetings as part of that, and we're going to be reporting on the 4 areas within that. Exactly like Wayne says, we're kind of doing that. It's that real kind of people-based, asset-based approach. So the 4 areas we're going to be reporting on with that is the promotion of people's positive contribution, social inclusion, collaboration, and community leadership. So everything that we do are going to fall within those 4 areas. We have increased kind of people who've taken part in that. We now have Julie Leddy, who's part of Northumberland Communities Together team, who has joined part of the forum, and Emma Rudd from Northumberland Youth Service is going to be joining us. She couldn't make this one, but she's going to be from the regular meetings. We have put dates in there for the next 6 months as well, so people have plenty of notes of those meetings taking place. So some of the things under the community developments that have taken place is the resource database. We're still kind of struggling with that, trying to get people to get that information via the form. So we're looking at a different way now. Steve's come on board with the youth side of it. We're going to look at developing some kind of community calendar. So he's been in discussions with Jane and people developing the town council website about the best way that we can kind of do that. And the idea is that people can share their information on there. So it is for people to get in touch and say, this is what we're doing on a Monday, Tuesday, whatever, at such and such a time. And you'll be able to see that all in the community calendar. The other thing is the networks, just kind of going through the report, the networks that have been developed, the community allotment is going from strength to strength. They're actually hoping to launch that in March, April time next year. So all the kind of building and all the raised beds and all the developments are getting built at the minute. They've got over 25 volunteers now involved in that. And the majority of the resources they've got for that has been through community donations. Eastfields Community Hub, they've kind of put together a proposal to Northumberland County Council about taking over the pavilion as an asset transfer. This is kind of got to a stage where we're just waiting back for running costs from Northumberland County Council. But they're still kind of carrying on as a hub, looking at what they can do together in the meantime until that kind of goes through or doesn't. And they have come up with Christmas Sparkle campaign. And what they are doing as a hub is they've put this Christmas Sparkle campaign, and they're looking for donations of toys, food, wrapping paper, and looking to kind of support people within the community with that who might be struggling over Christmas. The Wild Spaces Hub has developed from things like the community allotment, the Red Squirrel Group, Northumberlandia, have got together, and they're looking at what ways they can kind of work together again as a hub going forward, with different projects, so they can share resources, they can share ideas, they can share volunteers. And one of the projects they have been working together on is Northumberlandia have been working with 9 architect students from Newcastle University, and they have designed a pavilion, a community pavilion space. And the total cost for that, I think, was about something like £13,000. They've managed to raise 7,000 in issue themselves, and they had a shortfall of £6,000. They've raised nearly 2,000 through a crowdfunder. And again, they're looking at different ways as a community they can put in as collaborative funding to support that going on. Because again, that's something that can be used as a community resource. The groups and the hubs are going to again share volunteers, you know, when it comes to doing the building and things like that as well. So there's lots of things happening within these development of community hubs within Cramlington. Again, asking people what would kind of strengthen them, what would strengthen their organisation. We're doing a COVID consultation. We're looking at what kind of positives, changes has it happened for people as well, because it's not just all the negative things we're finding from COVID. There's one of the groups that have developed, for instance, is Mayfield Grange Residents Association, and they've started putting together a programme called Let's, and that is local exchange of talent and skills, which I think is brilliant. And what they're doing is they're kind of looking at all the skills within their community, and that could be from your local joiner to your hairdressers to your painters, and looking at how they kind of support each other and share those skills as a community. Again, the promotion of people's positive contributions, we're kind of, you know, going ahead with the Love Awards. We were putting together a community showcase in Manor Walks to kind of show all these things, all these really positive that's happening in the community. We were going to do that on the 5th of December, but obviously with the lockdown, the stalls and things that we had kind of planned to do socially distanced are not happening. However, we are going to do it virtually. It doesn't mean we're not doing it, but just find different ways of doing this. So on the 12th of December in Manor Walks, we are going to have 2 large screen TVs. We are asking for people to share with us their videos to give their Christmas messages. So if you could, you know, send us your Christmas message that kind of goes out to Cramlington. Again, things like this can also go out through the social media. Jane's done a fantastic video with Lorraine and Dan to try and encourage people to share their messages and, you know, get the schools to sing a Christmas carol. Maybe a kids club get involved, you know, sing a nursery rhyme, or, you know, and just a real celebration of Christmas, because we can't be there in person, we can still be there virtually. Going on from that, again on the virtual side of it, another Christmas scheme is Remotely Christmas, that is going across Northumberland. Again, it's part of Northumberland Communities Together, linking them with the Leading Link. And it was about how we get Cramlington schools involved. So Lorraine had a meeting with the Cramlington schools, let them know the idea is to, they're going to have a Santa who's set up in Northumberland Zoo, and they're going to have his workshop, and he's going to be live streamed into all the schools in Cramlington and across Northumberland. They have got elves that they are going to film around the school when the children are on there, so the children are actually going to see these elves at their schools, and then they're going to come in with colouring books and pens and gifts for the children that have been donated by Dragar. There's 500 resource packs, so there's lots and lots and lots of things happening. There's the Christmas Light Committee as well. We were going to have a stall at the virtual market, so we're looking at how we can do a Cramlington Festival of Lights and getting ideas from the community about how they can actually light up Cramlington, and then so we can form this Christmas Light Committee going forward for 2021. We've still got the community engagement page there, kind of share people's messages. People are getting in touch now and they're saying, I've got this, event going on, and are you quite happy to share it? It's just linking up lots of people through that community engagement page. We've got projects, we've got visions for projects, things like Enchanted Cramlington, and that's an arts project that can incorporate a lot of local artists. As part of that, with the young people, there's an arts award funding that's gone out to a local artist who's working with children in Cramlington and young people, and it's called Your Voices, Your Choices. And what they're going to do is start developing these stories so we can have like storytelling events and things going forward for the new year, which, and again, it could be part of a much bigger arts award project for things that we're looking to develop. The youth side of it, Dan has now gone on to pastures new and doing really well and loving his new role, and said thank you very much for the thank yous from the last meeting. And we have recruited Steve, who is currently on paternity leave, but he's come and he has absolutely hit the ground running. He's doing a fantastic job. He's been in touch with the Learning Village, and they're carrying out consultation with all the students in the Learning Village all around well-being, all the things they'd like to see in Cramlington, all the things they'd like to happen in Cramlington. And this is something that's going to be part of their enrichment sessions that the school's massively on board with, so they're going to give them time to do this so we can get the information back. And the idea from that is to form some kind of youth council for Cramlington, so the young people can have a real voice about participation, about all the events and activities going forward. Things like that is, again, it's linking in through the Community and Youth Forum to the likes of the youth service. So the youth service are doing detached across Cramlington a couple of nights a week still, and that's still going ahead. They've carried out their own consultation with young people as part of the Alexander Park and the skate park. So being able to link in, they've got an idea of a graffiti project. It's something we had talked about as a graffiti project. Bringing these two together, they've got some funding to do it. Again, it's part of that collaborative approach. The pop-ups, Cramlington Volunteer Youth Projects have still been going out doing their evening and weekend pop-ups schemes with young people. There's been sport camps going across the holiday period as well. Again, under that positive recognition, there's the young, this is really difficult to say, it's the Young Unsung Heroes Awards that Steve's promoting. Again, that's been supported by Nando's, and they are supporting meal vouchers, and that's if there's any young person that have done something, extra special over these times as well, or given, their time, they're volunteering, something really kind of positive that they've done. It could be anything across the community. They're going to get that recognition. And again, looking at going forward with the communities together and how we can kind of link in with what our ideas are, what we've been doing, and how they can kind of add value to what's already going. So that's in a kind of nutshell of all the things going on. One of the things me and Steve have talked about is how we can kind of share that information. Talking about assets in Cramlington councils are a massive asset. So it's about how we can communicate and get people involved in their wards and a lot of things that's going on and beyond. So on that note, it's just kind of any questions that you've got about anything that's going on, just fire them away.
Christine. Thank you, Maggie.
Maggie, I am absolutely, you must be, I don't know how you'd manage it. You so much of your work. I'm especially delighted for the work you're doing for the Eastfield Pavilion. As you know, Norman and I have been working for years trying to get things done, and we nearly got there, then it sort of crashed and everything. So yes, thank you. I got your email. I'd love to go to the meeting with you, with the county council officers, and give my support to the whole project. And I'm just looking for a fantastic outcome. So thumbs up to you. Thank you very much.
No, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for that, Maggie. As Christine says, I don't know how you and Steve manage it. The amount of information and the amount that you're involved in is huge, and it's all focused on the people and the children, the youth of Cramlington. A couple of things I just wanted to ask. both the Eastfield Community Hub and the Enchanted Cramlington, are those town council led initiatives?
They're facilitated. So the idea is to look at what groups are already kind of working in Cramlington, and it's looking at ones with similar kind of values, similar kind of visions, and bringing them together just to see how they can support each other. So it is kind of community led, facilitated by the Cramlington Town Council.
Right, because the reason I ask is there's like a few lines on the report there, like as a bit of an update, but obviously myself, Councillor Flux and Councillor Murray attended a Cramlington Cares meeting where we'd been sent some quite detailed and significant presentations on those.
Yes.
So I wasn't sure who was leading on those projects, having just like the lines on this report, but already seen, you know, these big presentations. And that's just where my confusion was, as to having already, you know, if there were council things, I would have thought those presentations would have been brought here first before being shared elsewhere. And I just wondered whether it might be worth the council seeing those presentations to see that greater detail and to get a better picture of what's involved in those. So that's just what I wanted to ask. On the item 4.1, the community leadership, when you said about Steve being involved in the CLV, I know you mentioned about the youth team as well. I just didn't know whether he'd sort of plugged into their experience to do this survey, and the safeguarding team we've got at NCC as well. You'll obviously be aware, and you see later in the report, of, I'm just going to say, some recent incidents that have taken place there and issues. So it is a very sensitive and difficult situation there. So it's just that need for the safeguarding and to make sure that all the experience is taken into account when dealing not just with that school, with any school. We just need to make sure that we take into account everyone that has that knowledge and that experience, and please tap into those at NCC who have all that available to them.
Yeah, thank you for that, Mark. Again, the first kind of point that you raised, and I think it's that thing of how we communicate better. You know, it's learning from kind of incidents or things like that, because what happened in that account is they had put together their action plan to go to Northumberland County Council. It was fed back to Northumberland County through the community and youth team with representatives from it as well. So, and it's about, we've kind of learned from that, it's about how do we feed back, you know, this information. And this is why every kind of topic under there will have information. It will have some detail about how it developed, who's involved, and that is all readily available. So if there's anything that you wanted, any more information on anything I've talked about, that's there. It's all put together, and that will be regularly updated to kind of stop those, you know, kind of things happening. And on the second one, going back about the survey, there's been lots of people that's been involved in putting those questions together that Steve's worked with. He's had feedback from consultations that's been delivered through Northumbria Police. Again, safeguarding teams, and so it's and the school's massively involved in that. So there's lots of kind of knowledge that's going into getting that consultation right before it goes out to the young people. So thank you.
Great.
David.
Yeah, well, having worked with my many times over the past decades or so, I know exactly how good she is at her job. Quite honestly, I've been involved a little bit with the Eastfield Hub, with us being on the committee for the pavilion and the housing association. So I've seen her at work within the community, and I've seen the community respond to it, right? And quite honestly, Eastfield's, you know, it's been quite downtrodden for many a year, right? But there's a sense of community starting to build there. And it's from this work that, you know, the council's doing down there, and the work that Maggie's doing along with Steve, right? This is going to be duplicated, I believe, across the whole of Cramlington and each of the wards. And quite honestly, if we can get groups like we've got down there in Eastfield in each of the wards, it'll be absolutely fantastic for the communities. You know, it'll be absolutely wonderful. Cheers, Maggie.
Thank you, Dave. I'm just pleased we've got more time to do it.
Wayne?
Yeah, thank you. A really comprehensive report. Just picking up on the Eastfield thing, it is the neighbouring area to myself and Helen. And, you know, I know Christine and Norman are on the call, and I don't normally embarrass people, but I have to say both Christine and Norman have worked their backsides off down at Eastfields in terms of litter picks, sorting out issues. We'll be hearing later on about some massive work that they've done around the bonfire damage that we've had. But you know what? There is an absolute sense of community there, and part of a sense of community is leadership. And, you know, Christine and Norman, Maggie, you and your team, everyone has come together to actually get that sorted. And I want to see that happen because, you know, it's the neighbouring area to me. We are all neighbours. We're all different parts of Cramlington, but we have that connectivity. And I don't want any part of our town which it doesn't thrive. Excellent report, loads and loads of detail. In fact, we almost need like a special council meeting just to talk through all the stuff you've got, Maggie, because we could be here all night. But I just think that, you know, there's a lot of really good things in there. I really love this wild spaces thing, because the one thing lockdown has proven, and I know this from my area, so when we talk about, you know, where Helen and I are around Northburn, but we've had ducks, we've had deers, we've had I've actually written it down, herons, owls, hawks, cuckoos, red squirrels, moorhens and foxes. And that's just one day. So, but, you know, seriously, the amount of stuff that people have now noticed about where they live, and although we are an urban area, we are absolutely green, and we absolutely have that massive natural environment which interacts with our town. So I think there is something about putting interpretation boards around the town. This is probably for another meeting, but I do think we need to like put boards around, you know, so talking about the wildlife that you'll see, red squirrels particularly. And just one final point, I know that in parts of our town we have the well, all parts of the town have the designated cycleways now, all color coded. That's a great opportunity. I found it really helpful just to go out for walks. And one of the best prescriptions you can get is social prescribing, is just going out for a walk. And I think we need to be doing more to improve mental health of people old and young in our town by just taking a walk around some of the amazing stuff that we've got. Home of the original Newcastle Airport, home mentioned in the Biggles books, massive history in mining, massive history in some really famous people. Ross Noble and stuff came from here. We've got loads. Why would you want to go anywhere else other than Cramlington? There you go. But no, really good. Excellent. Thank you very much.
Bob.
Yeah. Thanks, Lorraine. Just 2 points. Under the section 3.2, we have been approached by the project group who wants to do a pavilion near Northumberlandia for support towards that project. Now, it's difficult to say, you know, what level of support they require because they are going through crowdfunding at the moment. So if we could keep that fluid and perhaps agree a contribution of, say, up to £1,000, subject to consultation with yourself, Lorraine, but not to exceed £1,000, which I think would be a fair contribution from the council.
Thank you, Bob.
Subject to their needing it, of course. Yeah.
Thank you.
If we could agree that as part of that element of the report. The other point I would make is just in relation to the point that Mark raised concerning Cramlington Cares. I also was surprised by the fact that they seem to publicise and have a presentation on the work of the youth and community team. That was picked up, and it won't be happen again prior to being reported to the council.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
Barry.
Thank you, Mayor. I was just going to say on that project at Northumberlandia, I've asked to see if I can provide money from my members' small scheme allowance at Northumberland County Council. It probably wouldn't be the whole amount, so probably would want some money from CTC as well. But just to say that I've asked that question I asked if it meets the criteria, and subject to a few things, like I've just put some money towards schemes in East Hertford and Nelson Village, which I'm hoping to be approved. I would be keen to put my funds there, particularly if it's something that can help in the west of in my ward, given that if you're saying it's a community thing with the new housing there and with Beacon Hill being reasonably close, it was to be, I'm guessing that'd be something used by residents of Cramlington West. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Barry. Can I just go back to, again, the Wild Spaces Hub and the point that Wayne had said as well. One of the schemes we're looking to develop is the QR codes. So it is what we will do, all the wildlife and sort of information, people will have access to that on their phone, so that all they have to do is zap one of these QR codes. So this is lots of different schemes within the Wild Spaces Hub that we're looking to do with the community. So thanks for that.
Thank you. Well, as has already been discussed, Maggie, an excellent report, very in depth. And the council is noting this report, obviously. Right, can we move on please to agenda item 7, playground update, and it's over to you, Adam, please.
Thank you, Town Mayor. It's a quite straightforward little update report, really, thrown in with the proposal as well. As you'll know, following the last council meeting, the council did agree to seek a public works loan bid of £150,000 to be borrowed over 10 years, and confirm that all the paperwork has been submitted for that. Unfortunately, I still don't have an update on when we're going to hear if that's been approved or not. I have chased that up this past week with both the PWLB and through NELC, but unfortunately haven't received an update as of yet. But I'm still confident that we should receive that shortly. The works for all that playground refurbishment is all booked in with Hags. So as soon as I've got the approval, I'll put the order in, and all the work should be completed prior to the 1st of April. As everyone's aware, obviously there's new lockdown restrictions in place across the country. As a result, we've had to close our leisure facilities, outdoor leisure facilities, which is the skate park and the muggers. They've been closed from the 5th of November. However, the town's playground provision have remained open as they can be. And I'll just move on to part 4 of the report, which is outdoor gym pilot. I'd like to propose to undertake an outdoor gym scheme, and subject to the success of this, we could potentially extend this across the town following how successful it is. Horton Park's been identified as the pilot location for this. We'd be able to install the equipment opposite the existing play area, which will allow coverage through the Town Council CCTV provision, and that would be able to monitor the usage and potential any antisocial behaviour or vandalism that it may be subject to. A quote has been received by our strategic play park provider Hags UK, and this comes to 14,500. It's hoped that most of this expenditure can be funded through Section 106, as there's currently 10,500 available through Section 106 for outdoor sport in the Blythe Valley area, and this would leave a surplus of £3,000, which could be absorbed within the current budget. And if anyone's got any questions or...
Yes, sorry, 14.5, take away 10.5, 4,000?
Yeah, 4,000, sorry, 4,000.
You've done very well on the numbering on the agenda.
Yeah, just a table there.
Okay. Any questions? Yes, Mark.
Thank you, Chair. Just a couple of questions. I know it's extremely difficult at this current time with what's going on. You mentioned that the skate park and the muggers have been closed, and it's difficult to do that, but just to advise that they are still being used, and I'm aware of that, so I'm not sure what can be done there. It's more an information thing to educate people that they are supposed to be closed, but just to make you aware that they are still being used. Also, the outdoor sport, the thing for Horton Park, I think, is an excellent idea. However, just to point out that we do have like an outdoor facility already near Alex Park, and it's been there for a number of years, which is under ownership of Northumberland County Council, who failed to maintain it, failed to look after it, and as a result is in a state of disrepair and unusable. And now I know that ours is not going to go that way. As with all of our play facilities, we maintain them to a very, very high standard. Can I ask that as a town council, we write to Northumberland County Council and ask them to either repair or replace what we have at near Alex Park, and basically try and sort that facility out. I've got no problem myself in having two of those facilities in Northumberland. What we can't have is a load of equipment which is just sat there derelict and useless. It is their asset, it is their responsibility, and basically they need to sort it out.
I'm happy to write to Northumberland County Council on that matter, if you're happy with that.
Thank you. So next it's Helen, and then it's Barry.
Well, to have an outdoor playground for the parents, what more do you want for Horton Park? Because we've had a few mini meets about our current playground situation, and yes, parents are concerned about the upkeep. Totally agree with you, Mark. We are on top of that. Unfortunately, we are subject to vandalism. They're interested in drainage to the site. There's not a great lot we can do about that, except more sort of like, what do you call it, plastic sheeting areas? What do you call it, Adam? I can't remember.
Grass matting.
Grass matting, that's right. But what stuck out like a sore thumb was, if the kids can play in that area, why can't the parents play outside and do gym things? I don't think our area would come into like disrepair. I think we're on top of the game, and we would make sure it stayed nice. If it was installed, I think it would be definitely looked after. It'd be well used. For the parents that we've got in Horton Park and Northburn, I think it'd be a phenomenal asset. Phenomenal. So I 100% endorse this. Totally.
All right.
Can I have it in tomorrow, please?
Thank you, Mayor. I'm pleased that you said that we might, if it's successful, be looking to roll this out in other parts of the town. Obviously, if that's the case, we'd need to have it budgeted and everything. So what I was going to ask was that when are we looking for it to be in place? And once it's been in place for a number of months, could we have progress reports on how it's going? We had an issue at Norwich Way Play Park where we went on consultation as to younger people's things, or things which were more of, well, not quite a gym, but probably older children, sort of like exercise things. And the younger one won out quite significantly on our consultation. But I would be very keen to know how this works. I suspect if it was in at the moment, it would be very well used, given that gyms are shut. But I think we need a proper look at it through a period of all kinds of different levels of lockdown until hopefully normal times as well, and see how that goes in terms of rolling it out for the rest of the town. That's just all I've got to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyway, David?
It's just, Adam, when you write this letter, can you ask them exactly the reasoning behind them letting it get in the state it is in? Because it was well used when it was first put in. And obviously, if they're just going to let it, you know, is there a possibility that we take it over as a council and get it I see your head shaking, John. Right?
Sorry.
But at the end of the day, you know, it's a facility within Cramlington. If the county aren't going to repair it, why should it go to waste? You know? So can you express the fact that we need it repaired? Right?
I will certainly ask the question. I'll ask the question if it can be repaired. I will just mention that when we did take over parts of what is at the skate park, we did specifically ask for not to take the gym equipment because it's not a case of repairing, it is a case of replacement.
Well,
yeah.
You're putting a gym elsewhere.
Yeah. Well, I said I will obviously ask the question, and I'm more than happy to arrange a meeting with Jimmy Reith, who looks after open spaces, and that falls under his remit as well, and to make some questions.
Well, then,
obviously,
if repairing or replacing, basically.
And as mentioned, it is a pilot scheme. It could be a case of in the future, this could be an area that is looked at to be replaced under ourselves.
Great.
Thank you, Adam. Right, Paul, and then Barry again, please. Paul.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, that is exactly. Thanks, Dave, for having asked the question, which I wanted to know, which I also wanted to raise, because we would like to know the reasons why they are neglecting the Northumberland County Council. So if the letter is so worded, so that they give some explanation as to why they have been neglecting the whole thing. That's very important. Thank you. Thank you, Dave. And the second thing is I wanted to ask was, I think we applied for this loan, PWLB loan. We discussed quite a while ago, and it's still no progress had taken place. Is this something normal, or should we read into this delay? Should we read something into the delay that's happening? Anyone from the experience?
Right, just to come in there, there was a slight delay in submitting the application, because when we originally went to submit the application, it turned out we didn't meet the threshold for their criteria. Yeah. We were asking for too little of an amount, so we had to come back to the last council meeting to ask for the council's permission to apply for more money, and this would enable us to cover the refurbishment of Alexandra Park as well. Following that meeting, all the paperwork has been submitted. It took about a week or two. They came back, we made a couple of changes, and that's all been sent off to the verifier to be approved. I was anticipating that it would be a quick turnover. I don't know if it's obviously due to the current climate with COVID, but I have chased it up, and I am hopeful that we do receive a response in the next couple of weeks.
Thank you, Arnold. So for the time being, there is nothing to read from this delay. So for the time being, yeah, okay. Yeah. Thank you.
It'll be COVID. That's always the excuse at the moment, unfortunately. Barry, please.
Yes, Mayor, I'm sorry for coming in a second time.
No, you're okay.
If we are writing a letter regarding this place in Village Ward, which I'm not familiar with it, we also mention other parks which are in Northumberland County Council's control? I only know of one other, which is Beacon Hill Park, and I've emailed Jimmy Reith about it. Well, I think it's Jimmy I've emailed, but certainly people at County Council. I apologise, might have done something, but I haven't, because I've been there last week or so. But my feeling is that we need to ask them about that if we're writing a letter at the same time. I've certainly had one piece of equipment which was removed because it was health and safety risk, and nothing's there and things like that. So I would like us, if we're writing about one park, that we're writing about all parks which are in the county council's control, and asking the questions about all of them. And I think we've just got the two, and I stand corrected if that's not correct.
Thank you. Oh, Mark, you had your hand up just before Bob. Mark, please.
Sorry, just to come back on something. It's just to point out to Councillor Murray there. One of the things that we want to try and do is, when we took over some of the play parks, I know the county council was quite pleased at that because of some of the repairs that needed. So when we're saying about taking, I'm sure we're more than happy to take on that exercise area. We just need to be mindful that we don't want to take on all the costs as well. And when we know that in some areas of the county council's happy to spend £90,000 on some of their play areas to bring them back into play, as it were. What we don't want to do is take on all the debt to fix it as well. If they're spending money in some play areas, then please spend it on what they own in our area as well. So if they fix it up, great, we'll take it on. If they're sticking their heels, you know, in the mud, as it were, we just need to do that bit of negotiation. We're not going to take on all their repairs for them just to offer.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Mark, on that one.
So, okay, thanks.
Okay, Bob?
Yeah, thanks, Chair. I absolutely agree with making representations to the county about the state of a number of their facilities within the town. And you recall that we've taken over a number of playgrounds which initially remained with the County Council, Sevenoaks Park, Alex Park, because of the total failure of the County Council to maintain them properly. And this is very much the case with the outdoor gym at Alex Park. What does concern me is that with other facilities, we were able to draw on Section 106 funding that was available through the Developers Fund. Now, for play, I'm very conscious that that appears to have dried up completely. And I think that at the very least, if we are making the magnanimous offer to take over these facilities and maintain them properly, which is something the County Council seems quite incapable of, then at the very least, if we don't get direct resources from the County Council, we should have it via Section 106. Now, Councillor Daly and myself have made many representations to the county about where is the 106. There's lots of houses being built in Cramlington, but that doesn't seem to be filtering through to the Developers Fund for us to claim against to make these very necessary improvements to both county facilities and indeed to our own facilities. So I would say that in the letter, we will also raise this point yet again to ensure that the county are aware of the fact that we're generally very unhappy with the recognition that this town is being given for its own resources, for the County Council's own resources, and indeed through the Developers Fund.
Okay, thank you. Thank you all. Well, thank you, Adam, for that report. It's noted. And can I draw your attention to 5.2 to agree the proposal to undertake an outdoor gym pilot project set out in Section 4, subject to funding being made available through S106 outdoor sport. So can we agree the proposal?
Yeah, agree.
Anybody not? I mean, do we just do a show of hands? Anybody
Agree.
not agreeing?
Agree.
Agree. Okay. Right. Thank you. Paul, you just put your hand up at the very end there. Did you want to say something else?
Yes.
Move on.
Instead of writing a letter, in addition to writing, Adam writing a letter, would that be sensible for a cross party of councillors to approach the county to have some, interaction as to why we are, consistently being neglected, with town clerk and a few conservative councillors and Dave Murray or someone else, a cross party, to have an discussion with the people so that we can have a full picture of what exactly they want from us actually, or what is the reason it's all happening. It's a suggestion to the council.
Well, it sounds like an idea, but I think first and foremost, Adam will probably write the letter.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, with Bob, and we'll take it from there, I think, Paul.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Right, thank you very much. Can we move on, please, to agenda item number 8? And I'll hand you over to Daryl, please.
Thank you very much, Chair. Thank you very much. So I'll just kick off straight away then. So in terms of grounds maintenance and street cleaning operational delivery, the partnership team achieved 17 cycles in relation to grass cutting. This ceased on the 16th of October, and then more or less immediately after, the winter works programme commenced. The team are currently focusing on hedge pruning and shrub pruning. There is a progress report attached to this report in the appendices. With regards to street cleansing, in the past 8 weeks, 17 incidents of fly tipping have been recorded. That doesn't include data which relates to bonfires, and 11,240 kilograms of general litter. We've also stripped the spring and summer bedding and replaced that with polyanthus, so the winter bedding's now in through the partnership team, and a couple of members of the partnership team focused on the poppy install and the sign which is located on Dudley Lane. We've also planted some trees in on Lancastrian Road at the end. In relation to grounds maintenance, as a town council, we have placed an order for our summer bedding, which falls outside of the NCC procurement network. So we've went to an external provider in a view for our own internal teams to undertake those works in the future. Playgrounds, as the administration manager and Councillor Swinburne mentioned, that our service users are still using the areas that have been closed off within line of the government guidelines. All recorded incidents have been reported to the police, and it's basically been passed over to them to deal with. There's no major issues have been identified concerning the playgrounds. However, there is the day-to-day repairs that need to be looked at more or less every day, and that's just the nature of the beast when you're managing playground assets. So it's things like, you know, this needs greased, that needs replaced, but yeah, everything comes through to us on the ops team and we get that sorted. Environmental enforcement, our dedicated environmental enforcement officer in the past 8 weeks has issued 19 warning notices. He's processed 10 vehicles to be uplifted through the DVLA, and 16 incidents of fly tipping are currently being investigated. Page. Councillor Connect programme and projects are currently ongoing. However, there's been slight delays due to the second lockdown, and that's just due to suppliers and contractors deciding to close their operations due to recent government guidelines. However, I've been assured that in the long term, the end target dates are still as is. So it's just more or less the start of the project's been delayed, but they're still saying that we'll be able to fulfil their targets. Graffiti, as you're all aware, and I'm sure any members of the public who are watching this respectively, we've got a big problem with graffiti at the moment in the town. They seem to be targeting mainly public infrastructure, so bus shelters, signs, BT, communication boxes, substations, etc. We are currently working with Crime Stoppers and the local police as a town council, and discussions are ongoing at the moment. As you can see, there is some sample images on your screen. There is some work ongoing with Crime Stoppers in order to offer a reward for any substantial information that leads to a conviction. Crime Stoppers will handle that information, and they will pass everything that they need to the police and the CPS. On the report, it says there was 40 recorded incidents at the time of writing this report. That was anyway. That's now increased to 52. Our teams are working very hard to try and, you know, remove all graffiti where possible. But yeah, there is some cases. As soon as we remove it, it's replaced the next day with the same tags. So all that information again is passed to the police. And if anybody does have any information in relation to public watching this respectively, please get in touch with the police, Crime Stoppers, or the council direct. Bonfires, there were 16 recorded bonfires, but I believe there's been some more identified late this evening. So they're busy getting addressed by the partnership team. So the work what's entailed for that is that the partnership team remove all of the waste and then they reinstate. Kind of going back a step, on bonfire night, myself and the environmental enforcement officer, with the police, working in partnership with the police, we went out and we carried out proactive patrols. Anywhere where we've seen waste gathering, we liaised with our colleagues at the county council, i.e. the partnership team, to get that waste uplifted. That was quite successful. We managed to get rid of a lot of waste, but it got to a point where they were igniting it quicker than we can get to it. So once it was ignited, it was up to my colleagues in the fire service and the police to address that. We are working again with the police in relation to known offenders that fly tip waste at a bonfire site, but that's currently being dealt with by our environmental enforcement officer. And parking enforcement, our parking services team in the past 8 weeks have issued 14 parking charge notices, and that is it, Chair. Any questions?
Thank you, Daryl, for an in-depth report, which is noted. May I just add something to your number 6, the Councillor Connect project? Yeah. I would just like to add that the entrance features at the various estates within the village ward have been started, and personally I can't wait until the spring when we will just see this myriad of colour. It will be absolutely gorgeous. Christine.
Right, thank you. Thank you for the report, Daryl. Thank you for showing the photographs of taken of the graffiti and the bonfires. Can I just say, regarding the graffiti, I spent a good few hours coming through the whole of my ward, identifying them all, and I was really quite shocked when I saw what was happening. And I'm really pleased that work started on one of the bus stops to get it painted, and thank you very much for that. And the underpass underneath Eastleigh Primary School has been painted over. It was I think it was red. Instead of just it, they've actually painted the underpass fully, and I was really pleased about that. I've seen that today. So just to note, could we get that brown bus stop painted over as soon as possible, because it's one of the gateways into Cramlington from the Blythe area, and it would be nice to have that done. Regarding the bonfires, I was really disappointed this year, mainly because they actually put a bonfire on the football pitch. It's the first time they've actually done one on the football pitch. They've usually been a little bit respectful, if you could say it's respectful, and kept them off the pitches. But this time it was on, and it was really quite distressing for me to say that. I have asked, instead of just some of the other areas can be seeded or whatever, and I think sometimes the service lads put trimmings from the edging on top of the patches to build, and I thought, oh, is it going to work? And it actually did. It was really quite good. But regarding the one on the football pitch, have we got any further with actually getting some turf for that area and turfing it over, Daryl?
So yeah, for you gardeners out there, you'll know that turfing's not ideal at this time of year because it could be subjected to frost. But I have had a word with the partnership team, and they are going to try and do something like that. Yeah, it's in hand. It's getting looked at.
Yeah, I think
we might.
Yeah. Sorry, Daryl.
I was just going to say I know that for the season and stuff, we're going to try and get that done. But yeah, and I know obviously we'll potentially might have to wait for the spring to actually turf. But yeah, we are going to try. Apparently the county council have got some turf lying around that we can use. We might just have to heavily top dress it to try and protect it and safeguard it from the frost. But we'll look to get that repaired. Yeah,
it's just that that pitch is used by a team quite regularly every weekend. Yeah. And maybe we could just get them to avoid that little bit on the wing so we can grow. But thank you very much, and I'd just like to thank all the services team and pass it on. And I've had someone email me this week to say how hard-working, in a real compliment for the services team, the bin men, which is obviously county, but the services team and everything that they do. And this lady said she litter picks and she leaves the bags and all get cleared away. You have had a glowing report, and I said I would pass it on, so now I'm going to pass it on to you and everybody who watches this video in the future. You're really doing a great job, and thank you very much from me and my residents.
Thank you. I'm a little bit worried, Daryl, about the frost. I've just had a substantial part of my garden returfed, so I hope it's going to be all right. Right, Mark.
We'll come and get the turf from yours then.
Sorry?
We'll come and get the turf from yours.
No, you won't. It's all bedded in. Mark and then Barry, please.
Sorry, just before we move on, could I just answer one of Christine's points? Is that all right?
Yes, of course. Sorry, Daryl.
In relation to the chocolate bus stop, because it's obviously a very particular colour, we've had all of the paint, so that should be here very shortly.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for your report, Daryl. If I can just pick up on a few things. Firstly, can I just thank you for helping with arranging the planting of the trees on Lancastrian Road. We did want them, as you know, we wanted them in, well, the beginning of the year, and then it went out of season. We had the lockdown, and then because of staff sickness, we couldn't get them in time, but they've gone in this week, and it's got a really positive reaction from people who've viewed the social media that we put out on that. The Councillor Connect that you mentioned, it's great to see that the start that's gone in on there. I know there's more to be done. As you mentioned, you know, it was delayed because we couldn't get the materials because of lockdown and supplies, etc. But that's well underway. We've got more to do. There's the plates to go on. There's the top stones. There's still some more estate entrances to be done. Really looking forward to that being completed. And as the Mayor said, once spring comes and we start to get those flowers in, those are going to look absolutely fantastic, because none of the village estates have had any flower features going into those, and it's something that the residents have asked for a long, long time. Coming to the work that the team's done on Bonfire Night, they were all out there working really hard, and they did have a significant positive impact, and I know that from the village ward. Unfortunately, it wasn't 100%, and that's just the sad case that we are at the moment. On the graffiti, I was looking through photographs today, and it went back to May when I was first reporting the odd one or two. It's now 6 months down the line, and the town is completely covered in it. As you mentioned, it's every public piece of equipment right through the town. This is the state that it's got, the way that we've tried to eradicate it, and overnight it's just come back more and more and more. And I'm speaking on behalf of residents here to say that we're absolutely sickened of what's happening in the town. I'm pleased to say that, you know, we've asked people to come forward with information. I'm pleased but disappointed that we're now following the route of having to offer like a reward for that. But we need to get this sorted out. Everyone's really fed up of seeing it. But the other side of that is, like, we're in a pandemic situation with COVID, and whether it's the bonfires or the graffiti, the stresses and strains that this pandemic is bringing on to everyone, our council staff are not immune to this either. They're being affected by all of this. Some of them have been, you know, caught out with it, I'm going to say. But to add all of this extra work on top of what they have to do, you know, already really isn't acceptable. They've got enough to do with a normal day job, but having to clear all the rubbish away from bonfires and then going around having to scrub and paint over graffiti because people are just completely senseless and stupid. Really, you know, what are people thinking of? We don't want it in the town. The staff have got better things to do than to add to their workload. So, you know, my thanks go to all of the staff that we've got working for the council, having to do this extra work that they really, really don't need to be doing. And, you know, asking the residents of Cramlington, please, if you do know anything about this that's going to help sort this problem out, please get in touch with either us or get in touch with Crime Stoppers or the police, and let's just put an end to this and get back to a nice, clean Cramlington again. That's just
Amen. Thank you, Mark. Right, Barry, and then Pat, please.
Thank you, Chair. I'm not going to make any long speeches, but I echo words on bonfires and graffiti, and if I was to just say it again, I'd just be saying something that's already been said twice, so I will just echo that. I've got a specific question on East Hertford and Mortimer Chase. There's a area of land there which is often overgrown, and I've spoken to you, Darryl, about that, and also some wooden planters there which were put in by very enthusiastic amateurs, including myself, and there was talk they would be replaced with more modern structures. Can I ask where we are with those 2 points? Thank you.
Yeah, Barry, that is part of the Winter Works programme. So the partnership team will be moving there just after Christmas to get that area sorted.
That is fantastic. And is that the same with the plastic planters or the replacement planters as well? Yeah. Brilliant. Thank you very much. And thank you for all the work you do.
No problem.
Pat, I'm sorry you've had your hand up, but I can't see.
I
Just
know.
a black screen.
No problem. It was just on fly tipping. I was alerted to an incident of fly tipping on Beacon Lane. I wasn't given any information on where it was, but I went out and found it. And I just want to pass on my thanks, not only to the team for cleaning up, but also the enforcement officer who's, well, I think he's still dealing with it because there was so much evidence there to point at who it was. And it was just, the residents are so pleased at how quickly it was dealt with. So just passing on my thanks and that of the residents.
Yeah, I'll pass that across. No problem, Pat.
Thank you.
Right. Oh, right. Thank you. Thank you, Wayne. For Pat there offering a spare camera, that'd be great. Agenda item 9, please. No one else had their hand up there, did they?
Sorry, Lorraine. May.
Sorry, Helen. Oh, when did that go up? I didn't see, sorry.
Just a minute ago, honest, just to reiterate what everybody else has said about the graffiti. Unfortunately, it has come into our area as well, big time. Really disappointed with it. Looks awful. But Darryl, what an amazing job you do keeping our North Burn tidy and lovely. And I'm very conscious about the way I report things, that I kind of go out periodically to do kind of little mini inspections on my own. And you realise sometimes on a Monday morning you get about 6 emails from us. And I'm sorry about that, but that's just the way it happens. It's once a month or once in a blue moon, but I'm just going to apologise up front. But I was just, about another comment that was mentioned this week, I was just wondering what happened to the system of going in online and logging our own issues as opposed to contacting you direct. Or is that what you want us to do? Contact you direct? Is there a better way? Is there a better system? How do you feel about the way it's going?
I think, so in terms of members portal, I think that's what you're referring to, wasn't it? That was a resource that we used to have, but we discontinued it probably about 6 or 7 months ago now, if not longer. Adam will probably be able to tell you better. And the reason we discontinued it, and we did report it at a council meeting, because it was just being underused. The login data suggested that, you know, people might not be able to know how to work it, or if there was technical issues or what.
It was technical issues, yeah.
Councillors didn't have, you know, didn't have time or the infrastructure yet. So we discontinued it, and one of the things that we agreed was that everything would just kind of, things that fall under CTC responsibility would come through to myself or the office through a general way. But that is fine. I think the comments that you might be referring to is stuff that might not be particularly NCC. So if it's a highways related issue, for example, if I was to use an example of a pothole, let's just say, would it be more beneficial for and more effective and more efficient if the councillor was to direct that straight to an NCC highways officer instead of going through the CTC platform, just for delays? And, you know, as everything comes through from all members and members of the public, it's a queue-like system. So more in the queue, and if there's a lot of, you know, CTC issues in that queue that's being clogged up by NCC issues, it might take a while to get through. But for members that don't have those contacts and things like that for NCC, you know, that's not a problem to come through us. But yeah, to answer your question,
that'd be me.
So do you not wish to know about everything then, Darryl, even stuff that's going to NCC?
If you think it relates to, I don't know if the town clerk has a different view on it, but if it relates to the town council, then yes, CC win, absolutely.
Yeah, but if it's a county council issue, do you still not want to know about it just for your records?
You can do. Yeah, you can do. I think the town clerks want to come in here.
Yes, Bob.
Yeah, I know what this relates to, and I have concerns that we receive so many complaints from councillors that there is frankly a real danger that Darryl gets overloaded simply taking those complaints on board and relaying them in many cases to the county council. I mean, believe it or not, we actually get referrals from the county council's customers desk relating to county council matters, and we had to put them right on a few occasions that the town council isn't actually responsible for highways matters. That's by the by. what I think we have to be aware of the fact that Darrell has limited capacity. And until such time as we expand the team, which we don't have any plans to do at the right now, that's the administrative team, I think it's perfectly fair to ask those town councillors who are also county councillors, who understand the system with the county council, to actually go direct to the county council officer, the relevant county council officer. So, for example, if you have highways issues, then you would contact the highways officer there, and you'll know who he is if you're a county councillor. Having said that, I think it's also fair that if you are solely a town councillor and you're not as familiar with who does what at the county, then yes, by all means, come to the county council. But
come to the town council.
That's to the town council. Sorry.
Yeah, okay.
But my concern is that, you know, particularly at this moment in time, Darrell has a very heavy work program setting up the new operations team, and we were getting to a stage. We frequently get to a stage where overloaded, asking to relay county council responsibilities, complaints concerning county council responsibilities to the county council, acting as a posting box. And if county councillors could actually take some of that pressure off by going direct to the relevant officer at the county council, that would help us.
Is everyone clear on that? There's David and Barry. David, you go, because Barry's had a good shot this meeting. Then you can go, Barry. David.
Yes, Lorraine. As a solely town councillor, would it be ideal if we could get a directory of contact numbers so we could actually contact NCC directly?
Could, but it changes, Dave. That's the only thing. Sorry, Bob. Do you want to say something?
I think we can actually sort of give you a very broad list, you know. I'm trying to think of the guy at Highways who never answers his phone. Neil.
I've tried him a few times myself.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, but yeah, we can do that, but I think it's probably best that those of you who are solely town councillors do just continue to use Darrell.
Okay.
We will soon, you know, we are expanding the office, as a later report shows, and that's the type of thing. When we've got that additional capacity, we may be able to sort of take a different view. But at the present time, because Darrell is preoccupied with other matters, he has made it clear to me that, you know, he's a bit fed up at having to do this and that and being pulled in many directions. So if you take some of the pressure off Darrell for the time being, that would be great.
Yeah.
Town councillors continue to come to us. If it's not Darrell, come to myself, come to Adam, and we will then relay that concern to the county council.
Okay. David, you finished?
I was just going to say I could always sort of like report it to Alan Heppel as well. So as
Yes.
a councillor, he could relay that.
Barry.
Yes, and I'd also take anything from Councillor Hurd in West to officers as necessary as well. But what I was going to say was quite often there's very occasionally the case, and it's normally when it's stuff that a partnership team would do, where it's both sides of the cherry, if you like, for one better expression. And quite often I will be emailing both a Northumberland County Council officer and Darrell at the same time, and I would never take any offence if Darrell doesn't answer that, because it's something the County Council often deals with when it's not straightforward as to it is. I'm just going to copy you both in.
Yeah. If I just come back, Chair.
Yes, Bob.
Yeah, I think that, you know, that's fine. And that because there is, you know, that joint arrangement currently with partnership matters, be it, you know, particularly grass cutting and so on. But we have to be aware of the fact that come next April, this council will have no responsibility for grass cutting complaints. And that's when we will start sending them direct to the area manager. And I will make sure that prior to that, all councillors have the direct line and mobile number of Tony Gribbin, so that complaints can be made absolutely direct to that individual.
And I was just going to say, what's the name I was going to say I copy in, but I didn't really want to name it on a
And I would encourage you to make complaints to the area manager on as frequently as you need to. Good luck.
Thank you very much, Mr. Baker.
I think moving forward as well, in the future, I think we'll define what services CTC are responsible for in the terms of grounds maintenance and street cleaning, and what NCC are responsible for. So there's no confusion and there's no like overlap when it comes to reporting stuff, or duplication as well, so that you're not reporting stuff to NCC as well as us, and then we're sending two sets of resources.
Okay, so in short then, the town stroke county councillors go to county and the town councillors go to the town council. Yes?
As much as you can is to help us out at this time when we're limited capacity, yes.
Right. Pat, do you understand that, love? Pat? She's gone to sleep.
No, she's muted.
Yeah, I know she's muted.
Yes, yeah, I'm fine. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay,
Sorry.
Wayne, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, I did. Really, really quickly. We're not going to wait for complaints, because we're going to set expectations now for 2021. So I don't want to be sitting on these council meetings next year having a whinge fest. What we're going to do is we're going to set expectations. Those expectations will be met because we have a quality threshold for Cramlington, and they will be met. And I'm sure everyone's going to agree with me there. This is about how we actually improve and continue to improve on our town. So I'm not going to sit and wait till a town council meeting and have a whinge. Every time there is something not right, and I'm sure everyone, including our staff at the town council, will be on this. Absolutely. From the second we identify any issues, and where things are right, we'll celebrate that as well, because that's actually how you continue to improve. So I'm actually looking forward to our quality expectations being met and exceeded, and they will be, won't they? Yes, nodding. Good. Yeah. It's going to happen. We will do it.
Okay. Agenda item 9. Any members' questions, please? Mark.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to ask the town clerk if he's received any information with regards to town council submissions for the LTP for next year.
No, I haven't received a response to the schemes we put forward.
In that case, I know as county councillors, we've had our papers through because of the meeting about that next year. And unfortunately, the 3 submissions that the town council put forward have not appeared on there. Therefore, is it possible for the town council to write to the county council and ask for what reason none of the town council submissions have been included on the LTP for next year? What the reasons are why none of them are there?
Yeah, Daryl may have something to say on this, because he did actually forward the proposals that we agreed on.
Yeah, I haven't received any. I was the kind of the lead officer for contact anyway on that submission, so I will contact them tomorrow and basically raising our concerns, or even just asking for the paperwork to see what's what, and then yeah, I'll do that. Yeah,
I just wasn't sure whether, because you put it in, whether you might have received something different. None of the 3 appear on the sheets that I know I've received, and I'm assuming the other county councillors have got the same. And I'd be interested to know why none of the 3 submissions that the town council have put in have appeared or been approved. So it appears that they've been rejected for some reason, and I don't know why.
Yeah, I'll write it to Richard Mackenzie tomorrow.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Daryl. Anybody else? Paul?
First, thank you, Daryl, especially for the service side. You have been doing very well. Thank you very much. And also, Bob, thank you for dealing with me as a town councillor. I've been a pest in the past, so because I don't know where to go. So thank you very much. There is an area called Dolly Heap, it seems, and I've been receiving lots of complaints from Dolly Heap. There are lots of trolleys left over and everything. So what I think I told the person, I gave the person the website to enter the uncollected trolleys, because that person thinks that me and Dave are in charge of Dolly Heap, but I think it comes under a different east. So, somehow he thought, so I also gave Ann Mitchison and John Percy's numbers and emails to them. So, I told the person to talk to you, Daryl, straight away if they can't keep an eye on that Dolly Heap.
Yeah. Yeah, the area that they're referring to is the multi-use games area. It's in the middle of the Dolly Heap, and you're right, it is in the east. That's for just a bit of background. Actually, we categorize all of our sites red, amber, and green, and red basically means and that's a red site that we have to attend every day to do cleaning operations, because it's a hotspot for ASB. The local police are aware, and NCC Youth Services are also aware. I don't know if Maggie's team, or if Maggie has any contacts where she can come in on that, but yeah, we are aware. We do attend every day because it's a red site.
Yes, thank you very much.
Any further questions, please?
Just to add about the situation over the last fortnight, both members of our team have been self-isolating, so we really haven't had much of a resource to deal as immediately as we'd like to with a number of issues, but they are back on Monday, hopefully. So, yeah.
Maggie can't wait. She's chomping at the bits, Bob.
We don't send her out to collect trolleys. No, not generally at any rate.
Anyone else? Right, that concludes part 1. And we'll now move on to part 2. If Adam could stop the recording, please.